Yo guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to talk about the vital topic of how to find your perfect sensitivity in Rainbow Six Siege.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show.
Okay guys, let's get started. Now I'm going to give you some tips right off the bat, and then we will move forward to finding out and adjusting our sensitivity, okay, step by step. Number one thing is that when you have found your sensitivity, just stick to it. Avoid, as a rule number one, avoid continuously changing your sensitivity. Whatever you're going to copy it from someone else's settings, or anything else, if you have figured out yourself, just avoid continuously changing it unless you're way too bad with it, okay? That's that. That's tip number one. For tip number two, what you're going to do is that if you're going to choose someone else's sensitivity and settings, apart from sticking to it, what you have to do is that you have to understand that each person plays in a different environment than you. Maybe some players have different setups and settings, okay? For instance, I have controller freaks equipped on my controller. This is the very first controller that came out with my PS5, and yet it is working. I don't know why. Somehow. I'm just too lucky. Okay, as I told you, number two is if you're going to copy out someone else's sensitivity, try copying out some player's sensitivity which has the same equipment and settings and setup as you do. That's tip number two. Tip number three is to figure out your FOV. This is the very beginning step to find out your sensitivity. And in order to do so, my recommendation for your FOV is anything between 80 to 90. Nothing more, nothing less. Of course, you can't go above 90 for sure, at least in Rainbow Six. But anything below 80 is way too zoomed in for you guys in this season, because you have the 2.x scopes now. It gets kind of annoying. You may skip some angles. Therefore, choose your sweet spot, whether it's 80 or 84 or 90, depending on your distance from your monitor. Just choose one and stick with it once again. Because if you find your FOV and you change your sensitivity if you find your sensitivity and change your FOV afterwards, you're going to experience a pain of not feeling the same sensitivity anymore, because when you change your FOV, you're basically changing your whole settings as well. If you increase your FOV, your sensitivity will feel gradually slower, and if you lower your field of view, your sensitivity will feel a lot faster. Keep that in mind. For the next tip, what you're going to do here is to disable both vibration and trigger effect if you are playing on PS5 controller, the DualSense. If you aren't playing on Xbox, just turn off the vibration and it will be good to go. Next up, we have the classic control rotation or updated. The difference between these two is that updated is more consistent, and basically you don't experience any type of acceleration input. As for classic, you see that your progression, the progression of your aim is gradually increased, okay? I have seen some players to use the sensitivity on updated, but none of them are famous. So just skip the hassle, put this on classic and don't change it anytime else. Just choose one and go with it. Just roll. Now, next up, we have the vertical and horizontal sensitivity. Just to get this in your mind, my sensitivity is unique. I haven't seen any type of player who turns on the advanced controller options and turns it up all the way to 100. Maybe it's because of my muscle memory, I also have a background of playing on 𝐷𝐷𝐾. Maybe that could be another reason to it. However, for me, with my settings and sensitivity, with my controller freaks, this thing works. Let's move up to the next step. I'm going to turn this down for the moment because I'm going to show you a complete tutorial of how to find your sensitivity, and I'm going to give you tips whether you should turn this on if it helps, and it varies from person to person. So let's get started. The number one thing you have to understand about your sensitivity is that your sensitivity and your aiming overall is something subconscious. You do it, you don't do it on demand. You just think of it, you just want it, and you do it. You don't think about flicking between two like objects. You just do it, and your muscle memory does it for you, okay? So first of all, you have to understand your muscle memory. In that case, you can go through some sensitivity and setting, maybe figure out the meta. Once again, take your setup in note before doing that. And in order to do so, you can try a range of sensitivities for each of them, like vertical separately and horizontal, of course. This will help you understand your overall taste of aiming. Each person has a different taste of aiming or a muscle memory, okay? For some players, like my sensitivity will feel way too slow. On the other hand, some players may feel like extremely fast with my sensitivity and they won't be able to play with it, okay? In order to continue, you have to first of all understand your muscle memory, and I'm going to help you figure that out perfectly for yourself. We're going to start from the top, okay? Basically, what you need to do and understand about your muscle memory is that, as I told you, it is subconscious. Subconscious aiming means that when I'm like moving forward and I hear someone behind me, I have to be able to flick exactly 180. As you can see, that was a perfect flick. I'm pleased. As you're going to do that, you have to understand that your aim should be on your demand. In order to do so, you have to come here on Oregon, my beloved map. And what you're going to do from there is come here, stand like next to this white man, doesn't really matter. And to begin with, you have to find your horizontal sensitivity. Just turn this down, turn this to disable for the moment. And come here, put your horizontal sensitivity 100 or 95, depending on your taste, okay? If you feel it's way too fast for you, you could go down quicker. As you can see, I'm here and I'm going to flick exactly 180 onto this car behind me. As you can see, I'm not able to do that in my hip fire. You see that I'm continuously over flicking. My hip sensitivity is everywhere. Therefore, I understand that my sensitivity, my horizontal sensitivity is way too high. I'm going to go down by 5. Try out one more time. Once again, you see that I'm still over flicking. I'm not able to think that someone is behind me and exactly do a 180. I'm just over flicking. Once again, you go down by 5. 90. Let's try this out one more time. You see, I have to flick here, but I flicked here instead. It has gotten better, but it has yet to be adjusted. Now, I know my own sensitivity already, so I'm going to skip the introduction part once again. However, this is the process for both your horizontal and your vertical sensitivity, okay? You have to be able to flick anywhere you want and land your hip sensitivity there. Once again, I want to flick here. I have to continuously be able to flick here. You see? In general, I'm getting to the direction. See? So that's that. That's your horizontal sensitivity. Next up, you're going to go through your vertical sensitivity. And the most amount of flick you're going to need on this game is 180 for your horizontal and 90 degree for your vertical. It means, which I've showcased this to you on your horizontal, and I'm going to showcase this to you and elaborate it about your vertical. For your vertical, a 90 degree range of motion means that you have to keep your head up like this, and you want to be able to input the maximum amount of pressure on your joystick, as you can see, and you have to end up in the head level, or the other way around. Just look down, look up, and you have to end up in the head level. You see that? Once again. As you see, I'm almost there. Now, in order to find out your vertical sensitivity, once again, you're going to come here, turn it like to a maximum of 45. I haven't seen any type of sensitivity above that, so just do so. Once again, you're going to look up, flick down, and you have to end up here. As you can see, I ended up on this welcome mat, which ain't right. So this basically means that I'm over flicking. Once again, I'm going to go down by 5 for my sensitivity, like 40. Once again, move your head up and try flicking on the doorway. Once again, I'm still over flicking. It is yet to be compromised and adjusted. Okay, so once again, I'm going to turn this vertical sensitivity by 5, which is the 35 and my own preference. I'm going to try this out one more time. As you can see, I just line up my vertical sensitivity perfectly. Or the other way around. You're looking down, you want to flick an up here, you have to do it on the mount. You see that? And the deal with this is that when you figure out your horizontal and vertical sensitivity, your ADS will be good to go from there. You can easily find it like a defined range, okay? Therefore, as you have figured out your vertical and horizontal sensitivity, and I'm going to demonstrate why you need this to be on your on the best range possible, is that you see a lot of good players, they walk around in the map hip fire, or maybe they have to refresh their aim and re-aim. And when you own your hip sensitivity instead of your ADS, you'll be able to exactly flick your let go of your aim, flick here, and only zoom in to shoot. Nothing more, nothing less. Apologies. So that's for your vertical and horizontal sensitivity. Next up, we have our ADS sensitivity to be figured out. But before we move on to that, I'm going to showcase my own way of finding sensitivity. As I told you, my sensitivity is kind of unique. I use the advanced settings on enable, and I have all my acceleration percentages on 100. This acceleration, whether it's on ADS or on your look acceleration, basically translates into the fact that when you input, let me double check if I have turned this on. Yeah. Basically, this means if you turn these settings on and just increase it all the way up to the 100%, basically this means that when I'm going to input the maximum pressure to my stick, it's going to kick in and increase my sensitivity, whether it's regardless of its number, and double it. Let's say my vertical sensitivity is on 30 or my horizontal sensitivity is on 90, okay? If I turn the settings on and turn it up all the way to 100, I have controller stick drift, as I told you. When I turn this on and I input the maximum amount of pressure to my controller, it's going to double it. So it means that my horizontal sensitivity is now 180 instead of 90, okay? So keep that in mind and decide whether you're going to use this or not. For my case, this is all optional for you guys. Depends on your taste, okay? I'm using controller freaks. I feel perfectly comfortable with it. After you have decided whether you want to put this setting turned on or turn it off, you have to decide a value for them as well. My preference is 100 for all of them. I just tested out, and that's a tip for you guys. Perfect sensitivities aren't gradually discovered. They just happen instantly. You put on a sensitivity, you try it out, you feel it's good for you, and you stick to it. If you change it from there, you'll be stuck in the something that I call the perfect sensitivity syndrome, which means that you're good with a sensitivity for like 2 to 3 matches. Then you'll completely mess up. You decide to go through this overall one more time, which ain't the case. Okay, so decide this, decide a value, adjust the percentage, and just roll with it. Another tip is that whatever you decide to do with these settings, make sure that they're all the same value. i.e., if you're going to go through this sensitivity and adjust it, don't put one of them on 70, the other one on like 100, the other one. Don't mess up with the numbers. If you're going to go with 100, then turn all of them all the way up to the 100. Nothing more, nothing less. Or if you have decided to play with a 50% acceleration value, just put all of them on 50%. Okay, whether it's your ADS or your look acceleration. The reason for this is that you have to get used to your sensitivity, and this kind of messes up your muscle memory, because your muscle memory has got to used to applying the same value whether you move vertically or horizontally. Just decide this, and we'll move on to the next step, which is your sensitivity, which is your ADS sensitivity. For your ADS sensitivity, if you have been able to figure those horizontal and vertical sensitivity out, you'll be good to go from here. It's almost no hassle. The way that you're going to understand your ADS sensitivity is mainly by two things. Number one, flicking between two objects continuously, as you can see. I'm able to continuously flick between these two objects, almost 100% accuracy, which is perfect for a controller player. Next up, we have strafing, the second thing that you have to take into notice. Basically, strafing means that you have to possess the capability to track a target with your aim, whether you're moving or that target is moving. Doesn't make any sort of difference. Okay, let's say I aim on this chandelier or lamp, I don't know, and I decide to move to the right. Okay, my aim has to stay here and be able to track this for all the time. Okay, as you can see, I'm almost tracking it perfectly. So this is another way of understanding your sensitivity. If you feel that you cannot track this and you kind of overflick, that means your ADS is way too high. You have to turn it down. Now, in order to figure this out, the way that I did is, and the pattern in which I've understood, is that after you have a clean vertical and horizontal sensitivity, you don't want to exceed these ADS sensitivities with nothing more than 40, okay? That basically means that my 2.5 or my 1x, doesn't make any type of difference, shouldn't be more than 40 in order to work out with your sensitivity. And if you have your advanced settings turned on, that's definitely not a go-to, okay? So avoid anything higher than 40. You can go with 40 if you're going to try it out and gradually decrease it. Let's say I'm going to figure out my 2.5 scope, which is 40 now. And I'm going to come to here, and I'm going to come here and try flicking between these two animals or heads. And as you can see, I'm over flicking terribly. This means that I don't have I don't possess the complete control of my aim. As you can see, I'm still over flicking. So when I see that I'm overflicking, this means that basically I have to turn down my sensitivity by, let's say 2, maybe 38. Okay, one more time. As you can see, I'm still having trouble not to overflick. It hasn't gotten better, but it has gotten better. But as you see, once again, I still overflick. Therefore, I'll scroll back to here and turn these settings down by a favor of 2 once again. Now I'm going to try this out once again. It has gotten better. However, as you can see, I'm still overflicking. You see, there was an overflick here. So that means that my ADS sensitivity is yet too high. Therefore, we're going to come here and finally adjust it to 34. Once again, now I know this is my original number, and this is my sweet spot. This is my muscle memory, which has been developed in my nervous system. Okay. For each person, this is different. Now, when you feel comfortable with your flicking up there, there is another practice you can come and do here outside. As I told you, the strafing practice. Once again, there is no problem tracking this chandelier. So basically, this means that my 2.5 scope is perfect. This is as good as it gets. Okay. Next up, we have our 1X left, and these are the main two scopes you're going to only adjust. Your 3.5, your 4-time, your 5-time, or your 12-time scope aren't that necessary, and you don't see lots of operators in which you can run them with those scopes. However, if you ever intended on doing so, you have to also go through the same process with them as well. Okay, whether it's a 1 scope or a 12-time scope, who knows? Okay. Once again, for your 1 scope, however, I'm going to give you a very good tip to understand how to adjust the difference between these 2 scopes. Now, let's say your 2.5 is 34, and you want to adjust your 1X scope from there. The value in which you have to decrease it is, it shouldn't be anything less than 10 or more than 14. Okay. That basically translates into the fact that I'm going to start up with 24. That's only 10. You want to go down by 10 and start adjusting your sensitivity. Okay. This basically means if we kind of calculate the difference between these 2 numbers, it's only 10. Okay. I'm going to test this out for you. Once again, you're going to go through the same process, and you also want to flick while moving. Maybe not that bad. Also, you can do some vertical flicks. As you can see, I overflick once again. Try vertical flicking as well. That is also something you will require in your gameplay. So as I mess up with my, as you can see, I can't flick on this lamp. You see, if you mess this up, you have to come here once again, decrease it by 2, go through the same process once again. Now I know this is my value and I'm flicking perfectly, almost. And that's that. You can try out vertical flicking. Once again, almost accurate. And last step is to come here and try strafing once again. Now I know that nowadays we have shooting ranges and stuff in Rainbow Six Siege, but for me as a old player, I just prefer to do it old school. That's how we do it. Once again, you're going to come here and try strafing. As you can see, I have almost 0 problem strafing my aim and continuously track this object. So just to wrap this up real quick, you're going to load into a endless drill map to have your head cleared. First thing you're going to do is to figure out your FOV once and for all. From there, you're going to flick between two objects with a difference of 180 degrees to figure out your horizontal sensitivity. Afterwards, you're good to go through your vertical sensitivity. And as I told you, you're going to do a 90-degree maximum of flick. And you're going to figure out your vertical sensitivity from there. Now, once you have figured out your hip sensitivity, you're good to go. You move on to this section of map, choose your ADS sensitivity, start with a maximum of 40, nothing more, nothing less, and gradually decrease your ADS sensitivity as you feel it is needed. Now, another quick tip here, I have gone through a lots of good player sensitivities. In fact, I'm going to make a video out of it later on. And in order to do that and understand the difference between ADSs, my preference is that your 1x and your 2.5, the difference between these two is most of the time 12. That's the answer. As you can see, if you go down 34 by 12, it's 22. That's my sensitivity. And that's all for this sensitivity guide. Hope that it helps you guys a lot. And if you have any other questions, make sure to comment below this video. And if you're willing to become a better attacker, I have already made a video on that, which will be linked in the description of this video. Make sure to take a look at that. If you ever enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and like, and comment down what you want to see as the next video for your R6 education. Have a great day. Take care.